You might not be able to see them, but they can certainly see you. Remember, their ability to watch you at any given time is for your safety. We have viewers from around the world, so today we're going to take a look at some failed espionage attempts and how other governments around the world keep their eye on their citizens. From wiretapping phones to other mass surveillance programs, here are the ways the government is watching you.
Hey guys, this is American Eye, bringing you another great video.
But first, thanks Eunice for leaving us this suggestion about our next possible zombie video. We might need some help from the fans for this one. Let us know what places you put on this list and maybe we'll feature you in an upcoming video. Number 13, North Korea. The people of North Korea are routinely monitored in various different ways, and many have described it as a police state. The people here feel as though they're constantly being watched because they sort of are. One person even wrote seemingly everyone in North Korea is monitored, which includes wiretapping of microphones and people's mobile phones. The microphones that are put in are used to pick up conversations. Whenever sensitive topics are talked about with more than 3 people, the North Korean officials tune in, and it begins to get dangerous. Some laptops are even able to access the national internet known as Hwangryang, which is probably something like logging onto a primitive AOL. There are an estimated 200,000 to 300,000 people who work in the public, secretly spying on people with advanced technology. A military official in North Korea mysteriously disappeared after making a few criticisms about Kim Jong-un on wiretap. Some claim he completely suppressed a coup d'etat, while others believe he went a little bit overboard. Number 12. Free Wi-Fi. You thought that Wi-Fi was free at the airport, didn't you? Well, it turns out it does cost something: your freedom. Edward Snowden made a huge revelation to the Canadians when he blew the whistle about the free airport Wi-Fi in that country. By agreeing to use the Wi-Fi, it allowed agencies to gather communications of all travelers using it, and it would even track after they left the airport. This sparked a huge concern with the Canadian Security Intelligence Service, who had no idea that this was happening. It was done by a different branch of Canadian government known as the CSE. Post 9/11, they've been responsible for gathering data from foreigners, and of course, they claim it's for your safety. The federal agency is only gaining strength, and they expect another budget increase soon, which will give them $1.059 billion each year. Number 11. Hidden cameras. Say cheese, you're on camera. Despite the cameras in our phones, computers, and even in our TVs watching us, there could be more hidden cameras out there just watching you walk down the street. You don't think that camera on the Las Vegas Strip doesn't see you late at night? Street cameras are rising in popularity, and they might be harder to spot than ever before. Think twice about running that red light. A large number of devices have been placed in the streets for security purposes and can track cars speeding, criminal activity, license plates, and even that tuna sandwich you ate for lunch at Subway. In places like the UK, this has led to more traffic fines than ever before, bringing in quite a bit of dough for the federal government. Operation Hammer Drill. The CIA had quite a few programs in order to install the malware that they create on other people's computers. They had a few cyber weapons up their sleeves, and one of those was a cross-platform malware that could target Microsoft, Linux, Solaris by infecting computers with CDs, DVDs, USBs, and other sophisticated malware. It's believed that this would work with the most secure computers on the planet. It's also seemed to have the ability to infect computers that weren't even connected to the internet or never have been, so be careful next time you put a CD or USB into your computer. Just know what you might be getting yourself into. It's also believed that the US took some of this technology from Russia, and if some of the devices were to be detected, it would essentially point the finger at them. Number 9. Radar motion detectors. You might be familiar with radar guns that can detect how fast you're driving, but this radar device can detect if you're home or not. At least 50 US law enforcement agencies have access to these detection devices that essentially give them X-ray vision before entering a home. Many people like to argue that this device is unconstitutional if you use it without a warrant, and the judge claims that such a tool poses Fourth Amendment questions. Each one of these costs $6,000 to purchase, so it might not be every cop that has one. Number 8. Robocops. You remember seeing the film RoboCop and thinking, wow, this could never become a reality? Well, you were wrong, and robots could really be patrolling the streets any day now. The telebot developed in Florida won't need a human inside, might be a little bit harder to bribe, and will start writing off people traffic tickets. In China, the robocops are becoming a little bit more advanced and are even able to taser people. This photo here displays the Ambot, which stands 5 feet tall and will certainly make it tough for perpetrators to outrun them on foot. It can reach speeds of 11 miles per hour, but it can't quite figure out how to hop over fences. This one here is rolling straight out of China and was built to keep riots and protests from getting too out of control. So basically, if you don't respect this robot's authority, he'll give you an electric shock. This would be good for surveying troubled neighborhoods and work a full shift of 8 hours a day before it needs to be recharged. With civil unrest seemingly reaching an all-time peak, many countries could be interested in such a robot. Number 7. Drones. Now more than ever, drones have risen in popularity, partially due to the fact that they make excellent tools for espionage and seeing what the sheeple are up to. With the capability of flying, this adds a whole new element to spying like we've never seen before. If the government suspects something bizarre might be going on in your backyard, this would be a great time to employ a drone. Rock stars and movie stars often complain of drones over their residents, and it might not always be the government at work either. Number 6. Pigeon cameras. This is almost like your first primitive use of drones in a way. Without advanced technologies that we have today, pigeons seem like the most viable method of aerial espionage. This replica of one of the first pigeon spies displays how a camera was attached to it. PETA would probably protest this. Anyways, with their speed and reliability, pigeons can return back priceless cargo of footage of enemy positions. With radio communications being unreliable during certain missions, hundreds of pigeons were used instead and completed an astonishing 95% of their missions. Number 5. Robotic Catfish. Instead of putting their cameras on animals, more recent gadgets actually disguise their gadgets as animals in order to avoid detection. Meet Charlie. This unbelievable catfish seems stranger than fiction, but this was actually dreamt up by the CIA in the 1970s. This is what's known as a UUV, or unmanned underwater vehicle. It has more spy equipment than any catfish you've ever met in your life. And we're not talking about the ones on the internet. It contains not only cameras, but pressure holes, ballistics, communications, and even a propulsion system in the tail. You better hope this member of the CIA doesn't swim up to your boat party anytime soon. Number 4. Pentagon Cyborg Beetle. It really sounds like something straight out of a horror film. Is there anything worse than being spied on by the government and creepy insects at the same time? The government most likely suspects that you don't go and investigate this one too closely. This is modeled after a rhinoceros beetle and controlled by radio command. With a series of 6 electrodes, this rhino bug comes to life and successful experiments have been conducted. Until a day comes when there's more cyborg bugs than real ones, small radio-controlled UAVs could be useful to find victims of natural disasters. Number 3. CIA operation fails. The government has put their spy tactics in full effect against their own citizens and get away with it. But if you've been keeping up with the news recently, you've known they've had some serious trouble spying on some other countries. The Chinese government managed to imprison more than a dozen CIA agents during a year period, and they totally got busted on their widespread hacking operation. A large number of assets were lost, and it was certainly an embarrassing situation for the US. That's not all. The US has spied on several French presidents and the German chancellor Merkel by wiretapping her phone. But now that a new president has made it to office, who has some obvious weaknesses, what will these countries do to get revenge? Who will be the ones watching us? Number 2. Cat spies. Cat spies. They could be lurking around the corner of a building. They could be peering through buildings, gathering information for the government as we speak. Someone in the CIA meeting room during the 1960s thought that cats would make great spies, and then someone actually agreed. Let's fund that project with $10 million and see how it goes. They spent 5 years trying to properly train a cat for proper espionage tactics. He was equipped with surgically implanted listening devices, a battery, and a tail-based antenna. The CIA claims that these cat spies don't exist and they gave up on the projects, but who knows if they kept on researching and were able to succeed in this project. What if they genetically engineered cat hybrid aliens to spy on the human race? Being a cat would certainly make the perfect cover for a mass surveillance program, don't you think? And number 1. Air marshals. You can't even get in the plane sometimes without the government watching you. Federal air marshals are constantly flying on a plane, often sleep-deprived, armed with guns, and are keeping their eye on you, and you better not even think about bringing a nail clipper on board. It's these guys' jobs to go incognito on the plane while you're going to your next vacay destination. It's almost like the whole process of flying now must be closely monitored for our safety. But here's the guy ready to use a gun with lethal force when absolutely necessary. Who knows if they'll even be a threat while they're not sleeping.
So what do you guys think of that video? Let us know in the comment section and be sure to subscribe for new videos every day.